Good day, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my virtual classroom. For today's video, I'm gonna be discussing with you the human person. So let's go. So what is human person? So this topic presents the nature of a human being as it answers the question, what is human person and how does a human person attain his highest potential and create a positive results towards the common good. So these questions have been relentlessly asked even during the ancient times, and psychologists, philosophers, theologians, and scientists have written in-depth analysis on the topic of human nature based on the wide range of theories and observation. So it is essentially difficult to define a human person. So the perception of human nature and the possibility of achieving the productive society through the highest potential of a person. But according to Eric L. Estanol, 2007, he defined a human person has physical, spiritual, emotional, and intellectual attributes. So for Aristotle and Boethius, a human being is a rational being. Pag sinabi nating rational being, this he or she is able to learn or reason out and apply the knowledge that he or she acquired. So tayo bilang tao, tayo ay rational being. Yan ang pinagkaiba natin sa animals because animals are not rational. So human being is a rational being because he can reason out. Okay. For some theologian, describe a human person as someone with physical and spiritual substance because he has soul and it is created by a superior being. So superior being is our God with a divine purpose. Okay, so that is how theologians describe human person. Dictionaries naman usually define human person as a self-conscious animal or a thing. Okay, so I hope you have uh, in mind the definition of what is a human person based on the different people and different scholars who define a human person. So now let's proceed to the philosophical theories of human nature. So I have here four philosophical theories of human nature, and let's take this one by one. So number one is man is measurable of all things that exist and of things that do not exist. That is according to Protagoras. This only means that um, man can be um, man is visible. Okay, so you can touch. Okay, you can see, you can feel them. Okay, so it means that man is measurable of all things that exist and of things that do not exist. And according to Plato, uh, the perfect human being does not exist in this world because what we see in this world is just an imperfect copy of humanity's original self in the realm of ideas. So wala daw nag-exist na perfect in this world. Okay? Ang nakita nating perfect ay yung ideals natin na nasa isip natin. Okay? So there's no perfect person in this world. Okay, then according to Parmenides, okay, so the man has knowledge of something that exists for what what does not exist is nothing. Okay? And for Confucius, human being lives in accordance with the natural law that governs and guides the movement of all the things. Okay? So those are four philosophical theories of uh, human nature. So the nature of a human person, like other animals, it has external and internal organs. Okay, the human being becomes evident when he or she starts to share his or thoughts and ideas with others. Okay, that's the nature of a human person. Now, what about biblical views of human being? Okay, unlike other creatures, so the human person has a superiority and dignity which we inherit from our supreme being. Sino ba tong supreme being natin? Of course, ang ating Diyos. Okay, so according to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26 to 27, God made and God made man and woman in his own image, in the likeness of ourselves, and let them be master of the fish of the sea, the birds, the heaven, the earth, all the wild beasts, and all the reptiles that crawl upon the earth. So yan ang pagkaka-define ng human being sa Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. So the supreme being entrusted the human person. Itong ibig lang sabihin yan. The supreme being entrusted the human person to take care of the creatures on earth and to be aware of the possibilities, challenges, and difficulties he or she will encounter in his or her life. So tayo ang tagapag-alaga. We are the steward of all the creation of our God. So according to Grace Agbuya stated that the human person is designated by God, of course, to exercise dominion over other creature in his everyday use of freedom, search for happiness, and openness to the world around him. And what makes him human is his being a true person, which includes the special gifts and the talents of thinking. Kasama na rin yung loving, kasama na rin yung longing for happiness and making decisions. So the human nature was patterned on the image of God. Kaya daw tayo ay ah, hindi man kamukha o kamukha tayo ng ating Diyos. Okay? So, tinuturo yan sa atin. Okay? Even sa religion natin. Sa, sa paniniwala natin. Okay? So, that's the biblical view of the human being. So, we have also classical Greek views of the human being. So, the early classical Greeks define human person as a rational animal. Okay, sinabi na rin yun kanina. So again, so the early classical Greeks define the human person as a rational animal. And of course, as an animal, meron tayong tinatawag na vegetative sensory and rational elements which are integrated within his or her being. Thus, he is a material body. Okay, sa material and spiritual being. Okay, pag sinabi ng material, body, and pag sinabi natin spiritual being, soul. Okay, so as a vegetative creature, so the human person needs to have food. Kailangan natin ng pagkain to develop and to reproduce. Okay? And as sentient being, we need sensory perception to gain knowledge. And as a rational animal, he or she needs the power of thoughts, reasons, and cognition. Okay, so dito pa lang sa classical Greek view of human being, so sinasabi na dito na tayong tao ay binubuo ng material being saka spiritual being. And due to person's nobility and his or her special place in God's kingdom, so it is through him or her that the rest of creation enter into dialogue and relationship with the supreme being. Okay, because the human person is given a free will. Di ba binigyan tayo ng free will to choose, to decide, and shape his or her life as he is she also responsible for all his actions or her actions. So a human person is capable of knowing, again, ulitin ko, knowing, loving, and believing, which leads him or her to be fully aware of his or her humanity. Okay, so that encompasses the classical Greek view of the human being. So, si Eddie Babor, 2007, diniscuss niya sa book niya na The Human Person, Not Real But Existing. Okay, yung book niya is The Human Person, Not Real But Existing. Si Eddie, diniscuss niya yung several characteristics of a human person. So, isa-isahin natin yan. So, number one, sabi niya, a rational person is a rational being. So, paulit-ulit na, rational person is a rational being. Ibig sabihin, this is what distinguishes a person from all other creatures in the world. Okay? So, as a rational being, he or she is free to think, nakakapag-isip, okay, and has the capacity to reason and to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. Kaya tayo mga tao, alam natin na paano natin, alam natin kung ano ang tama at kung ano ang mali. And meron tayong capacity na mag-reason out. Okay? And pangalawa is, sabi ni Eddie, a human being is born free. Okay, a person is the freedom, may kalayaan, to do and not to do things. However, take note of this, every person is responsible for his or her own action. Okay, responsibility, may responsibility ka sa bawat action. Kahit na napaka natin, freedom natin. Okay, ulitin ko, a human being is born free. So meron tayong freedom to do and not to do things. But of course, we should be responsible. Human beings should be responsible for his or her own action. Okay? Next is number 3. A human person is unique. This is very true. Okay? So he or she possesses an identity that makes him or her unlike any other. Okay? So meron siyang sariling unique, may uniqueness siya. Okay, generally speaking, even if human beings have the same characteristics and physical features, kahit nakambal, magkaiba pa rin yan. Okay, so no two persons are the same. Walang magkaparehas because each one has his or her own perception, set of values, and priorities in life. Kahit na nga sabi ko, kambal sila, magkamukhang magkaiba pa rin yan. They are not the same. Okay? So, another one is every person is intrinsically a social being and cannot detach from other creatures in the universe. Okay, ano lang ibig sabihin nito? That human nature is characterized by relationship with other creatures, be it in an object or his or her fellow men. Ibig sabihin, no man is an island, sabi nga. So, ibig sabihin na ang tao ay very social. Kaya what happens now? Di ba ngayong panahon ng pandemya, issue ang mental health kasi wala tayong masyadong interaction. Ano lang tayo, social media lang tayo. Okay, kaya nagkakaroon ng effect sa pagkatao natin. Remember that every person is social being. Okay? And of course, number 5, all created living things are sexual in nature, but the uniqueness of expression of a person's sexuality makes him or her different. Okay? Ano naman ang ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin lahat that the expression of a person's emotions, attitudes, feelings, actions, and thoughts in sexual activity best exemplifies his or her uniqueness from animals. Okay, so huwag natin itong bigyan ng masyadong uh, human person is sexual in nature. Okay, because bakit kamo? Kasi itong ang paraan para tayo ay mag-reproduce. Okay? And whatever is the thought in the sexual activities is of course it tells about the uniqueness of human being from animals. Okay? So I hope you understand. Now, si Rogelio Magigat noong 2006, meron naman siyang libro na Philosophy of the Human Being. And doon sa libro niya, diniscuss niya naman yung different ideological views of a human person. Okay? And Merong apat na ideological views of a human person according to Rogelio Magigan na sinulat niya sa kanyang libro na Philosophy of the Human Being. Unang-una is conservatism. Okay, ano ang conservatism? So you can take note ha. Okay, so the conservative view is not entirely positive and definitely non-egalitarian. Some people contribute more than others to society. So therefore, they must be greatly rewarded and honored by society. Okay, every person may not be equal value to society. Some were intended to rule, yung iba naman to obey. The rest is to obey. This is in line with one of Confucius' quotes which stated that superior man, of course, must rule and the commoner must bow before his authority. Kasi nga tayo nga is, ang tao nga ay hindi pare-parehas. Some people might contribute more to the society, some people might not contribute in the society, and some people are destined to lead, and some people are destined to follow. Okay, that is conservatism. And another one is we have liberalism. Okay, ano naman ang liberalism? Liberalism has a more egalitarian view of human nature. It believes that everyone is capable of reason and rational action. Okay, and has the capacity to live satisfactory, productive lives if given the opportunity. And the reason is common to all human beings, such as raises them above the level of beast and enables them to know the principles of suitable living. And according to Mencius, every human being can become a sage king, that is, anyone can gain the wisdom to rule. So tayo ay may kalayaan, okay, na magkaroon ng maayos na pamumuhay. Okay, even to rule, pwede. Okay? So that is liberalism. Then we have socialism. In socialism, human beings readily engage in cooperative social activities when given the opportunity. Unfortunately, this natural cooperative instinct is not allowed by the selfish human exploitation of others. Okay? So, si Karl Marx believes that a person is driven primarily by the desire for economic gains. Sinusulat niya to dati sa Das Kapital, yung ano niya, libro niya dati. Okay. So in Das Kapital, he considers that human person as a social animal fails to relate actively with others and with nature when she loses himself or herself and become alienated. Okay, so his or her drives loses human qualities and assumes animal qualities. Okay, so sabi nga dito, in socialism, sabi niyan, human beings can readily engage in cooperative social activities kapag binigyan ng opportunity. Even in your class. So that's why, di ba, meron tayong mga groupings. So if you are given the opportunity to lead, do it. Okay? Kasi sa ideological views of a human person has this, itong tinatawag na socialism. Okay, and of course, the last one is what we call the fascism. Ano naman ang fascism? Ang fascism naman believes that what matters most in the country itself, what matters most is the country itself. Yung ano natin, yung mismong bansa natin. Human being can prosper only when the nation prospers. Okay? So, their fate is merely secondary when it comes to country. So, ibig sabihin, kapag maunlad ang bayan, maunlad ang tao. Okay? Come to think of it. Okay, so fascism. So, like conservatives, fascists contend that some human beings are naturally and racially better than others. Okay, so that is the fascist view. Okay, so again, so the ideological views of a human person, we had conservatism, liberalism, socialism, and fascism. So now let's proceed to the essence of a person. So according to Michael D. Moga, 1995. A person's life is based on the ideals which motivate and inspires him, which is true naman. Okay? So, kung ano yung ideals na nag-motivate sa kanya, and it inspires him. Okay? So, say for example, your family motivates you to do better. Okay? So, that's the essence of a person. So, by understanding the different definitions of human person, the questions on how to maximize the characteristics of a human being to create satisfactory results can now be answered. So the guiding principles, take note of this, the guiding principles on realizing a person's competence and ability is the exploitation of his or her totality in the field of humanistic psychology, which theorizes that a person's behavior and his or her relationship with others is shaped by his or her inner feelings and self-image. Okay? So ito na nga, so sabi nga ni Demoga, a person's life is based on the ideals which motivate and inspires him. Anong ibig sabihin din ito? These ideals are abstract realities which speak not to man's body but to his spirit. Are similar to the case of the experience of the holy, the real is identified with power and spiritual power. Okay? So this is the essence of um, a person. But if you are familiar with Abraham Maslow, he presented the levels of hierarchy of needs in his theory of personality. Sige nga, balikan nga natin yung uh, ni Abraham Maslow. So ayan, Abraham Maslow presented the levels of hierarchy of needs in his theory of personality. Okay, the first one is physiological level. Okay, ang physiological level, yung needs ng tao is biological and basic needs such as water, clothing, um, food, which are immensely important because they are mandatory for survival. So, kailangan ito muna ang masatisfy. Okay, ito muna ang physiological level muna ang kailangang masatisfy. Okay, kasi hindi ka makakarating doon sa safety kung hindi mo pa nga ito nami-meet itong physiological needs. Then, after meeting these physiological needs, hindi na tayo sa pangalawa. Safety. Okay, safety needs. Ano naman tong safety needs? A human person needs to find security and protection from physical and emotional harm. Ang ibig sabihin, security of body, of employment, security of body, of employment, of resources, of morality, of the family, of health, of property. So, dito, security, stability, freedom from fear. So, kailangan um, masatisfy din to. Meron kang pera, meron kang bahay. And of course, after this, so, ito ng social needs. Okay, ang social needs, ito yung friendship, a desire for affection or love and belongings. Okay, desire for affections, okay, and friendship. Maslow states that people seek to overcome feelings of loneliness and alienation. So kapag naano mo na to, na-achieve mo na tong physiological sa safety needs, so ang inaano mo na ngayon, ang kailangan mo na ngayon is friendships, family, sexual intimacy. So that's the time na nagkakaroon ka ng kapamilya, ng asawa, kasi na ano mo na-fulfill mo na tong dalawa, physiological and safety. Kaya yung iba, hindi nakakapunta sa next level of Maslow kasi hindi pa nila na-realize itong mga needs na to. Okay? So yan. Halimbawa, tinatanong mo kung bakit hindi pa siya nag-aasawa. Kasi wala pa siyang properties, wala pa siyang pera para ng asawa, makapagbuo ng pamilya. Okay? So that's the third. Okay? And of course, number 4 is esteem. Ano ang self-esteem? Confidence, achievement, respect of others, respect by others. So kapag nandito ka na, nag-achieve ka kumbaga nare-recognize na yung mga achievements mo. So self-esteem, which includes achievement, mastery, confidence, esteem derived from recognition, respect, attention, and the like. When these needs are satisfied, a person feels a person feels self-confident and valuable. Okay, however, when they are not met, a person may feel inferior, weak, helpless, and worthless. So, ayan. Kung nandiyan ka na sa, ano na yan, sa stage na yan. Okay? And of course, we have the last stage, which is the self-actualization. Ang self-actualization naman, the highest form of motivation according to Maslow, a person who has attained these needs has reached his peak or potential. So, ibig sabihin, ang self-actualization, morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem-solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of the facts, and he can now help others. Okay, a person's motivation to reach his or full potential, as of course shown in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a person's basic needs must be met before self-actualization can be achieved. Ibig sabihin, bago mo ma-achieve ang self-actualization, dapat ah ma-meet mo muna tong mga person's basic needs. Okay? So, dapat yan. Yan. Physiological, safety, love, belonging, esteem, mga recognition, and of course, ito ka na sa self-actualization. So, in other words, Maslow's theory points out that the person's need to satisfy first are the lower needs before realizing his or her self-worth and potentials. So, dapat ma-fulfill mo muna itong mga nasa baba. Okay? Accordingly, then the lower needs are accordingly, kapag hindi na na-meet itong lower needs, the persons cannot fully devote his or her time to fulfill his or her potential. Okay? Kasi hindi pa nga na-meet eh. So, hindi pa. Okay, Maslow states that self-actualization is the driving force of human personality. Thus, a person cannot appreciate intellectual and aesthetic learning when he is hungry, okay, or she feels unsafe, nagugutom siya, hindi pa naninid yung, namimit yung physiological needs. Okay, when she is hungry, if she feels unsafe, and of course, artistic and scientific endeavors do not flourish in society where people must struggle for food and shelter. And of course, safety. So, self-actualization can only be fulfilled after all other needs are satisfied. Okay? So, following the Maslow's theory is Carl Rogers in his person-centered therapy theory. So, believes that every person has within him or her an innate desire for a positive transformation and to develop his or her capacities. Okay, so furthermore, he opines that the human person is basically good and inherently possesses a seed of goodness. Okay, no matter how imprudent his or her actions are. So kahit may isang pinakamasamang tao, meron pa ring goodness dyan. Okay, so si Rogers na-explain niya na human person is the only one able to change the direction of his or her life. Okay, so siya lang ang makakapagpabago ng kanyang buhay. So the therapist role is simply to act as a sounding board while the patient explores and analyzes his or her own problem. So in accordance with Rogers' theory, the society should be a sounding board of reflections in life so that individuals can realize his or her problem and formulate solutions for it. It is the individual who will eventually pave his or her own path, not the people around him or her. Okay? So, totoo naman yan. So, as discussed previously, the only one qualified in choosing what path to take is the person who lives that life. He or she always has a choice to what to do, but this should be accompanied by responsibility. So, being human, the dealings may not always be positive, but that does not negate the value of a person. Okay? A self-actualized person allows her innate positive values to transform further. Okay? So, As long as human beings believe that he or she has eternal self or soul, he or she will find it difficult and unnatural to be unselfish. Or or she has been taught all things have a self. Okay, and a human person should know that there are human values that essentially define him or her, and that he or she must strive to reach the threshold level of his or her capacity. Okay, so I hope you learned something today, and you learned something from the discussion or from the video. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.